welcome to our beloved parishioners. I'm Bailee.
I'm Ashley.
And this is Praise Be to Pod. Thank you so much for joining us. Ashley, what's on your heart?
Okay, well, now that you're doing the intro, because I'm going to tell everyone I was really bad at it, and I kept having to redo it all the time, and Bailee was like, I like doing it, and I was like, I hate it. So she does it every time, but I don't need to go first every time for what's on your heart.
Oh, well, I can go first if you'd like me to.
I think it's time for you to go first.
Yeah.
Because I saw what you're going to talk about, and I'm very intrigued.
Yeah, I will also say, like, part of it is because I just hate doing the outro because I'm typically so into our subject that when it's time to do the outro, I'm like, oh my gosh, like Instagram, YouTube, threat. Like, it's too much. It's too
fine
logistic
for me.
heavy for me. Okay. All right, I will start with what's on my heart. So I went down a rabbit hole last night, and I had a completely different what's on your heart before this, but I got into a series of TikToks about people who like to fuck around on the dark web.
The TikTok people?
Yeah.
Oh,
they
wow.
just like
First-hand account.
Yep. They are like, here's my experience on the dark web.
How do you find the dark web?
So you download a browser and then you like log into your VPN, and then the like links have like .onion at the end of them. Yeah. but I've never done this.
That's so weird.
Well,
it sounds so dangerous.
It's highly dangerous.
That's not something that I can handle.
Yeah, and I don't
have too much anxiety.
Yeah, and the people that I was listening to are not the more like nefarious.
Why is it .onion?
I don't know.
That's
I understand
ridiculous.
the minds of people on the dark
That's
web.
literally the name of like a joke site.
I think that they think that what they do is funny. Yeah, I think that's part of it. So anyway, there's this person who's like, they're just like, they clearly like love a high and a rush. And they're like, I want to like interact with people on the dark web to see like what kind of like outrageous, insidious like interactions I can have with people.
You can just chat on the dark web.
Well, in certain,
It's like a chat box.
It's not like one website. It's a browser.
One website .onion.
No, it's a browser. That,
Dark web
like,
.onion.
It is a browser that is like almost impossible for like it's honestly brilliant people who create these like in very encrypted like websites to do illicit behavior. And it's very hard for like the authorities to find out about it because like they're just not as smart as these like coders and people.
Okay.
Anyway, so like there's obviously the more like obviously nefarious activities that happen on the dark web, but I'm not about to talk about those because whenever there's a TikTok about that, I just skip through it because it's too much.
Yeah. Scary.
But there was this one guy that I've been following, and he was on the dark web, and he found a website of this person selling shoes. And
.onion.
Yep, .onion. Shoes.onion. I think it's called.
It's just so funny.
I think it was Shoeman. Is actually what it was. So like the guy who like owns the website is called. He refers to himself as the Shoe.
.onion.
But he sells shoes that are like $50,000. Like it's like outrageous.
What's in the shoe?
Well, hold on. So like
I'm
it's
scared.
a pair of like used shoes, and they
God.
look like some of them have like stains that look like blood. So that you can tell that something nefarious has happened in these shoes. And so
Murder shoes.
yeah, murder shoes. So this guy buys a pair of shoes from the shoe man. .onion.
This man on TikTok.
Yes, this man on TikTok. He's crazy. And he's also like missing teeth. He's also a little hot too. Is that crazy?
Oh my God. Oh
I
my
don't know.
God.
I don't know.
Do you follow that Mountain Dew guy too? That idiot on YouTube? You know what I'm talking about? Dr. Dew?
No.
No, I'm not familiar with his
He's
work.
a nightmare.
But he sounds awesome.
I hate it when Danny shows me his videos.
I do love the guy that drinks Mountain Dew and does those snowmobile tricks. and he wears jeans on this one. Anyway,
We can't.
I'm gonna get back
we
to
need
it.
to talk about this.
so anyway, so he
Murder
bought this
shoe.
pair of shoes from the dark web, and he gets it. And this.
So now the dark web has his address?
Well, hold on. So he buys these shoes. They get shipped to him. And he's like, this is interesting. So he opens it, and the shoes smell really bad, and there's maggots in the shoes. So like you can tell. And then there's like, he does the like whatever the like light thing is that you can tell if there's like bodily fluids on it, and it lights up. I can't remember the name of that device. And
A
it's,
blue light. A black light.
yeah, but it's specific to like bodily fluids or blood specifically. And so like although
light.
it can't tell if it's like human or animal blood, there are blood in these shoes. So he has these shoes. He's like, these are crazy. So he's like undoing the he's like kind of like messing around with them, and he like detaches the heel, and there's a tracking device. in the heel of the shoe.
So now the dark web has his location.
Well, I think what it is that if you put on the shoes and your weight goes on the heel of the shoe, it activates the tracking device.
God.
And so he sees that and he's like, well, shit. And so then the next day he gets a different package. And then it like all of a sudden like this shoe man is trying to contact him and he starts to like make the connection that like it's basically like a cat and mouse game where like I think the game of this website is that like you buy a pair of shoes, you activate a tracking device, and then somebody has your coordinates to come and kill you. And then you take their shoes and then you bring it back to the shoe man. And it's just this like cycle of criminal activity. And so we're all just like, when is he going to get caught? And like, he is like, every day he reports, he's like, hey, I had this like new message from the shoe man. And some people think it's like not
A
real.
joke, yeah.
But it is so interesting
But
to me.
this guy should script a movie if he's making it up on TikTok.
I don't know. Anyway, I'm just like so into it, but it's brought me to like other dark web things on TikTok, like Baltic black magic, which is another thing I've been really into watching it. But there's like rituals that people will like film in like unfortunately red rooms and like other things.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
This is getting weird.
It's so weird.
It's too spooky.
I love it. So anyway, there's this like guy who is like does Baltic black magic and he puts like hexes on people, but he uses his own blood and it's really cool. And it's like from like Baltic witchcraft and like, but he does it for like good. Like you can like hex someone, but they have to have done something like particularly
It's
nefarious.
like Dexter.
Yeah, it's like you can't do that if you just like are mad at someone. Someone had to have like really done something nefarious, but that he goes so feral on them with these like curses and stuff. So anyway, I was up till 2 a.m. watching these.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I couldn't fall asleep. It was so terrifying. And I'm gonna do it again tonight. And maybe
Okay.
tomorrow night.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just don't go to .onion.
I'm not going to actually go to the dark web. Like,
Okay.
I'm not a proponent of the dark web. It is wicked. It is awful. It is dangerous. I also am not smart enough to navigate the dark web in a way that's, like, safe.
Uh-huh.
Or, like, I'm not clever enough because, like, people, it's very very sophisticated, but also not at the same time.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's in your heart, Ashley?
Oh my God, maybe I should have gone first. Damn. Okay. I have had this, like, I have a few, like, recurring abstract thoughts. And I had one the other day, and I was like, oh, I used to think about this a lot. Do you ever just have, like, thoughts you go back to when you, like, don't have anything to think about?
Unfortunately, all the time.
Okay. So one of mine I thought was just like me being an artist because it was it first started when I was in college and I was an art student. So I was always thinking about like, what could my next project be? And I remember looking at the dorms at night, like the really tall dorms at our campus. I went to Eau Claire. So it was the towers was literally what the dorms were called. And that's where Rebecca lived, our friend that brought us together.
Yes, I love Rebecca.
She was an RA in Towers. And you would look at it, it was like, I don't know, 15 floors or something. It was a really high rise building. And at night it'd be like, oh, most people are sleeping, obviously, but like there were still some lights on. So I would think about these people are sleeping, like they're all horizontal. And then these people are standing. And like, I would just think about like how big the building is. And like, I just keep going deeper and deeper and deeper into like the building. And there's so many people in the building and they're like all stacked on top of each other. And like, I have this thought a lot when I look at big buildings.
Okay.
It's really weird. Or just if I'm at night walking somewhere and I see lights on and lights off, like I just think about the squares and the rooms and like the people in the rooms.
I have a similar feeling when I look at a cityscape, like a skyline, and I think about all the different scenarios that are happening in my line of vision right now. And I'm like, am I like looking at a murder? Am I looking at like a hospital where someone's giving birth? Like all of these scenarios that could be happening in this, like on all these buildings. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like there's a scene, a montage in Amelie. In the beginning of Amelie.
I'm familiar with it, but I haven't seen it.
Oh, there's a montage at the beginning where it like kind of zooms in on different things that are happening in the city like that. But this is more like flat in my brain. It's like this is a flat surface and there's like people like this, people like this. I don't know. It's really weird. So then I Googled it because I was like, is this something that a lot of people think about, or am I just like the artist of the world? You know, like, am I just like the most?
Am I just like super
abstract
profound right now?
abstract person that there is.
People can't understand how my mind operates.
And this is what Google AI told me.
Okay.
This is this is an example of existential rumination.
Oh.
The thought can touch on deeper existential themes about the nature of existence, solitude, and the shared yet separate lives of people in a confined space. You are contemplating a basic state of human being, awareness versus unconsciousness, and applying it to the microcosm of your building. This form of existential malaise is a common theme for abstract thought. And then it went on about how it was also common in OCD.
Oh, yeah, that'll do it.
And it was like, you are mentally ill. And I was like, okay, thank you for giving me that right before I go to sleep.
It sounds like Chad is saying you're brilliant.
Not quite. It's
Okay.
not like a Rain Man situation.
I feel like my brain operates like that. Like if you let it loose, it gets very into like thinking about the intricacies of like the most mundane things.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is just like enjoyable and also overwhelming at the same time.
There's this artist, this Japanese artist, Yayoi Kusama. She does like, she's most famous for like all these pumpkins. She's done collabs with like Louis Vuitton. These pumpkins with dots all over them. Does this sound familiar to you? You might recognize it if you see her stuff because it's like a bunch of dots, like polka dots everywhere in different colors and stuff. And she talks about how like it's a mental illness that the dots have like haunted her and she has to keep creating these dots everywhere because they're always inside of her.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh, it's kind of like that.
Yeah. It's the same exact thing as that.
Is it? I'm Yayoi Kusama.
Totally. Yeah.
So just wait for my Louis Vuitton collab with the building.
Yeah. I mean, if we get to a point where we're collabing with Louis Vuitton, I don't think we're going to have much to worry about anymore.
I'm not a big Louis Vuitton fan, but
I don't really.
I would turn down the deal.
Yeah, I mean, if Louis Vuitton wanted to give us a call, I wouldn't turn them down specifically.
I'm still hoping for Rolos to sponsor us, you know?
And Diet Mountain Dew. For sure.
Okay, so do you have any trust and obey recommendations? We didn't do it last week because we had a game.
Yeah, I do. So I have a really good friend from LA who started this really cool vintage shop. And I'm actually wearing one of her things right now. I
cool.
love this shirt. It's so cool. And she is maybe somebody who has the best sense of fashion of anyone I've ever met. And so her vintage shop's called Babe King, and I'll like leave a link in our probably like a social media post about it. But I seriously, like, I could not pick what I wanted. The stuff was so cool on her website. It's such a great curated collection. So I highly recommend checking them out. Babe King. It's just her, and like she recently just like got a cute little boyfriend, and he's there too. But yeah, it's literally such a great little shop. And I remember like putting this on. I was like, I think I'm gonna wear this on the podcast. And then I did a little bit of research because I was really worried that this was like maybe a band tee that I didn't know about, and I didn't want some asshole being like, name 3 of their songs. Yeah. And then I had to be like, I don't know, name 3 Mary-Kate and Ashley movies, bitch. Like, I'm so sick of that attitude, but I was really nervous that someone would come at me like that.
Yeah.
So like I had to make sure, but I didn't see anything. So I truly think it's just a devil with a pentagram.
Is he wearing a Slayer belt though?
I think so. What does that mean?
Slayer's a band.
God fucking damn it. I'm so upset
It's
right
like
now.
not a band you'd like though.
Probably not.
Just let us like the art. Just let us be art
Can't
girls.
I just like enjoy how something looks without having to listening to all that tacky
What's it say on
music?
there?
I don't know. What does it say?
I don't know, but I bet it's a name of a song.
Probably. How did I literally Googled, like I described the like.
You have to take
creature.
a picture and Google image search the picture.
I don't think I want to do that.
Okay.
Anyway, do you have any recommendations for Trust and Obey?
Yes, I know I'm like light years behind, but I finally got a login to Amazon Prime. Thank you, Bailee.
You're welcome, Ashley.
And so I could watch Shiny Happy People, the new docuseries on like religion, like fanatical religion on Amazon Prime. And the first season I thought was just about the Duggars, and I like wasn't that interested, but it's actually about the Duggars and their connection to the Institute in Basic Life Principles, like a weird Christian cult.
I'd never heard of that before.
Me neither. I've never heard of it. And it's
I thought they were like LDS.
very
honestly.
influential.
Or like
it's basically like a fundamentalist
Jehovah's
Christianity.
Witness. Okay.
So it kind of is similar.
Okay.
it's very like no kissing till you get married, like wear these terrible skirts and have awful hair and talk like a baby.
Bad bangs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have a baby voice. Like it's very similar
infiltrate
to
Congress.
Yeah.
Just classic cute religious
yeah, it talks
things.
a lot about that. So it's really interesting. It's obviously like on brand for our podcast. And then season 2 is about Teen Mania Ministries, which you served with.
I'm familiar with Teen Mania and their work.
Yeah. So
I've seen that second season as well.
both seasons were really good. And I think we're going to do an episode later on the IBLP. So I recommend those for Trust and Obey. And this is your topic today.
It is.
So why don't you start us off?
I will.
While I take a seat.
Yeah, please do. So the topic that we're talking about today is something that I thought about a lot growing up, but I didn't quite have the like language to describe specifically like what I was feeling when this would happen. But I feel like now as an adult, I've been able to articulate it a little bit better, although I'm still working on it. So if I'm being honest, I'm a little bit nervous for this episode because I just want to make sure that I say it correctly. Because I know that I'm onto something, but I don't know if I just hope that I have the thoughts developed enough to really like say it. But what I want to talk about today is the concept of divine timing in the church and like the belief that like waiting on God is a virtue.
Yeah.
So like if you grew up evangelical, or not even necessarily just evangelical, because I think religion in and of itself, but obviously evangelical Christianity is our like context for it.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, or a lot of like religion in general, like teaches the importance of like patience and like waiting on God's timeline for certain things to occur. And like in many ways, that is not a bad thing. There are certain times in our life where we truly cannot change our circumstances. And so we just have to sit in the impatience of like not being in a certain situation that we want to be in, or not having achieved something or gotten something, or not like living out a certain scenario that we want to live out, but maybe isn't for us or is for a version of us in the future. Whatever that might be, we're taught to like be patient. And it definitely can bring comfort at times when you're like, why am I not getting X, Y, and Z blessing? Why is this scenario not happening? And knowing that God has a plan can certainly be comforting. But I remember growing up, and even like, especially now as an adult, feeling really rubbed the wrong way by a lot of that message. Not because I thought it in and of itself was incorrect, but there was something about the way that message was delivered that felt like almost nefarious a little bit. Because I noticed that it was said a lot in the context of marginalized people talking about social injustice. So for example, one of the events that occurred that really like brought this to my attention was in Minneapolis in the summer of 2020, when George Floyd was murdered. There was a lot of like social justice, like uprising, and people talking about like the systems that oppress Black people. And I noticed a really common theme from the evangelical church was about like being patient for like certain social justice for change. Yes. And I got that a lot growing up. Like people were really told to just kind of like chill out or just like wait and pray, you know, that like godly justice was different than like earthly justice, and that they needed to kind of like take a back seat. And I'm kind of under the impression that when people in the church are telling you to be patient, that it actually is rooted more in like trying to put marginalized people in a state of limbo where they don't push back against like really oppressive systems. So that's kind of what I want to talk about today. Obviously that's very heady, and it like that concept of like patience kind of like pushes up against like a lot of different areas. But like, what were you taught about patience in the church growing up? Did you get a lot of that messaging, or what did you get?
Definitely the like wait on God's timing.
Yeah.
And wait on God and pray and wait to hear. Like that part of it really took the agency out of a decision for me. And I think it makes people paralyzed in their decisions because you're constantly thinking like, am I making the right choice? Am I making God's choice? Am I in God's will? Yeah. Am I in God's timing? if I do something a little too fast or a little too slow, like then I messed up God's whole plan for the world.
Yeah.
It's like so dramatic.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes you could wait and wait and wait and then just nothing happens.
Yeah.
Like, what are you supposed to do then?
Right. Or like I knew people too who like were waiting on God. So like a really big thing in the culture was that like your vocation or your job was like connected to your calling. So you had to like wait to hear a word from the Lord about like what you needed to do with your career.
Yeah.
And so I know people that never received that word from God who ended up just like staying in their hometown and are still there because they haven't heard from God on what they're supposed to do from their life.
It's like, well, you still made a decision. You just made a bad one.
Yes. And it's actually just, it really hurts to watch that happen.
Yeah.
Because they're being put in this like, and I even know like there's some people in my life who are still stagnant and the spiritual leaders are like, well, they're still like praying. And I'm like, are you satisfied with seeing this person just like sit in the stagnancy? But I think that it's like almost weaponized as like a mode of control to like hold people back from taking like real action in their lives.
Yeah, I can see the point about it being weaponized, but I feel like that's so far down the road and far outside of the ideas that are happening at the base level.
Okay.
So like base level would be first, I'm told to wait on God for every decision I make. And then the church is told to wait on God for their decisions, but at some point they stop and they make their decisions, you know, like, and it goes on and on and on. And then I think what you're talking about with like culturally, it's weaponized. I think that's true, especially against oppressed people, because it can like waiting and having patience can also be good.
Yes.
So you're not rushing into things.
Yes.
Like if people all of a sudden, you know, meet someone and then the next day they're your boyfriend, you might think like, it's a little fast.
Yeah.
Maybe you should wait on God for that one.
Yeah.
Like, what's the balance?
Right. And I honestly like struggle with that like in myself because I remember like a really big thing that was taught to us growing up, like especially like young women, is that they needed to like wait for a man to like pursue them.
Yes.
And so there was a lot of like lack of agency and involvement in them wanting to like pursue connection with someone, or if like a woman noticed like, or a young girl noticed like, oh, I'm interested in that person, it was kind of irrelevant because you kind of just had to like wait and see who came to you. And that was like a common message that was taught. And then there was a lot of like, you know, just like how I said earlier, where people had this like calling on their life where they were waiting to hear like a word from God, and they were just put in this perpetual state of like waiting and limbo to hear from God. And it just like didn't come through. And like at the time, you know, it made me feel a lot like I was kind of like a passenger in my own life.
Yeah.
And it also like made me a little like, I guess like insecure that like having like desire for things to happen was almost immature. Like I felt a lot of pressure. Like I had to be perfectly content in the current situation that I was because that was aligned with like God's timeline. And oftentimes it was from people that like, you know, I'm curious if they would have been able to actually display that, you know, same amount of patience. Like one thing that I heard a lot from like heterosexual couples in leadership when they were talking to like a young person who they would say in quotations was struggling with being gay is like, you just have to keep praying for like God to like change your heart. And then you're going to have like X, Y, and Z happen. Meanwhile, they're currently married to someone who is in the gender that they're attracted to. So they don't even know what that feels like to like sit in that angst and that like waiting on something to happen that like honestly isn't going to happen, but they say like it's going to happen in the future. So there was a lot of like just sitting in that like limbo waiting for something to happen. And it was always taught by people that like just didn't really seem like they had to like sit and wait in the same way that we did.
Yeah, I think that it was really sexist.
Yes,
like
definitely.
Women are taught to be patient. I don't remember men being taught to be patient.
It certainly was not to the same extent, but I did see a lot of that with like them finding their calling in life and like their vocation or their career or like waiting to hear from God.
Because I saw, you know, women have to be patient with waiting for a partner or waiting for a baby or waiting for, you know, the right job that can support their family in the correct way.
Yeah.
You know, like where men were, it was fine if they didn't.
Yeah.
You know, they might have chosen to wait, but they probably don't need to.
Yeah. I mean, it was certainly a lot more like on
Yeah.
young women. And also like it felt even that like qualities that would somehow be interpreted as being impatient were like deemed as like unattractive. Like trying to like make something happen, or like, oh, if you're like interested in someone and you go up and you say it, like, oh, that makes you seem desperate.
Right.
Like, desperate was a quality often associated with someone who wanted to get the ball rolling on something.
Yes. How dare they?
Yes,
Be a
exactly.
self-starter.
Exactly. And I like, if I'm being honest, like that is something that I still kind of hold in like in my own life, is that like I feel like things, if it's the right timing, kind of have to fall into my lap. And it's kind of a tough balance because honestly, like patience still is a really valuable virtue to have. And there are so many things in life where like I've tried really hard to make things move forward and it just wouldn't. And then all of a sudden when I like let go and just chilled out for a second, then things started happening in like a way that was, it was clearly a lot more like fluid. And that was definitely something that happened like a lot. But I also feel like even in my own life, I'm like in a state of limbo of like waiting for things to break through and happen. And they just like, they won't, because like, I think that because it's caused me to create like a more passive role in my life.
Yeah. I remember a student when I was in Arizona, he was so hyper spiritual, and now he's very clearly deconstructed.
Yeah.
He would like pray about what he should wear that day. And if he didn't hear, he would just be crippled. Like, he couldn't do anything. It was so extreme.
Yeah.
And it was like, dude, you have agency. Like, you can decide things too. And he like couldn't.
Yeah.
He was taught like, you can't decide anything, actually.
Definitely.
Yeah.
No, I definitely like have that too. Like even when I talk to like spiritual leaders that I grew up about like things that I'm doing in my life, I'm more observant of it now. It doesn't impact me quite as much as it used to. But I noticed that the tone is just like, well, have you prayed about it? Like, have you asked God if you're supposed to do this? And I'm just like, I mean, if God wants to tell me I'm not supposed to do this, she can certainly speak up. But like, I'm not going to just like sit there and like wait to figure out like what I'm supposed to eat that day. Like it doesn't like, I don't know. There's just like a lot of like paralysis in decision making with it.
It also like really made me feel like, well, some people are just more special then because they didn't have to wait, or their answers were really clear, or
they waited more
clearly
effectively.
Called. Yeah.
Yep.
And they had their calling or their answer or their person, whatever I was waiting for, and other people got it quickly.
Yeah.
It was like, well, I'm building patience. I don't want to.
Yeah. Or like, why is it that like some people are called to like live a life where they have to wait on things and other people aren't? And it did seem like there was this hierarchy to people that like, oh, they got what they wanted. Like, it sounds like they knew how to trust God a lot like quicker. Like your patience or like how much time you spend waiting for something is often reflected with like how much you trust God.
Yeah.
Like if you, because there's like, this was a story that was really commonly used in the Bible or in the growing up a lot. Is that like when the Hebrew people were in the wilderness, it was only supposed to take them 11 days to get to Canaan or the promised land. But because of sin in their life, it took them 40 years, which, you know, is so similar to 11 days. But that is literally the story, is like, because they didn't get it right with following God, they had to wander aimlessly for 40 years. Yeah. And that is literally the story of the Hebrew people. So that was so commonly taught as an archetype of like, this is what happens when you don't to a T follow what God wants for you, is that you will be wandering in your life and aimless for years and years for something that really was only supposed to take a little bit of time. And that made me so scared that I was going to like put myself accidentally in a purgatory of indecision, where because of like, you know, some sin in my life or whatever.
I just feel like people bring up that fucking desert too much.
I love the desert metaphor.
That story. It haunts me.
I love it. I mean, I hate it like taken out of proportion. I think that like the wilderness metaphor is like so powerful.
No, I think that's great. But like that story of like, oh, we didn't get it perfect, so then we had to be there for 40 years.
Oh no, I hate that.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And then like, who was it? Moses?
Yeah.
Fucked up so bad he didn't even get to go.
So
that
he
just died.
That is actually one of the most troubling stories I had, was that like so in the story, like obviously Moses has a higher calling. And so he's taken like to the top of a mountain and God shows him the promised land. And God says to him, like, you're not actually going to be able to enter because of like some small moment of indiscretion where I think he like hit a rock with a staff or something.
Yeah.
He just did
The
some
water and the snake and the staff.
Yeah,
and
there's
the
a
rock.
snake and
Who
a rock, yeah,
cares?
something
I
like
don't know.
that. But so he's like, the children of Israel can go in, but like you are not going to be able to. You're going to die here with me. I think it says that Moses died on the mouth of God is what it says, which is kinky, honestly. It's one of my favorite passages in scripture.
Wow. We
I know.
should get tattoos.
Totally. But it
Totally.
basically, like, how that was taught was like, because Moses had a higher calling on his life, he had a tighter ship he had to walk, and slightly deterring from what God wanted him to do made all of the efforts of his life in vain.
I'm not interested in that story
Well,
for my life.
I don't like that
don't love
either,
it.
but that was like a really big theme was like,
No, I know.
well, you
Yeah.
can be in that limbo. And if you fuck up like even a little bit, if you have a high calling in your life, like you can see other people who you think are less deserving enter the promised land when you don't get to. And even if they fuck up more than you. So it was like this weird like hierarchy where like, people who wait longer sometimes have like a higher
Yeah.
calling on their life
Oof.
and they have a tighter ship. They have to like, it's like really toxic.
That's I don't even know what to think. I mean, first of all, I was thinking, well, who has a higher calling than other people? But some people are like, even thinking secularly, it's clear that some people have positions of leadership and positions of influence.
Yeah, and those people like fall from greater heights when they fuck up.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's
They're supposed to.
undeniable.
Yeah.
You could equate that to a calling.
Yeah.
And I think that's like what they're referring to. And if you do mess up, it impacts more people, and that
Yeah.
makes sense. But and that's like just a law of, I don't know, the times.
Yeah.
It's just
But
always a lot of people.
I
But
think like with evangelical people, like they were so obsessed with like a self-appointing high callings to the
Yeah.
average person.
yes,
Like, where it wasn't like they would be like, oh, you have a call, like you have a David mantle or a Moses mantle. Did you get that a lot?
It's so
like you have
weird.
a mantle like Moses.
I was always like, I don't know. What
I got
you're
Moses
saying.
a lot, and I was like, "Fuck you, that guy sucks ass. He's so boring." Like,
Yeah.
I would
Aw.
much rather be a pharaoh. Like, I was awesome, and he got what he wanted in life. But he was just like, yeah, you got like these really like I was told a lot that I had a very specific calling on my life, but that it would like require a lot more from me from the average person, and I hate this, but I honestly like feel like I still carry that a little bit
Yeah.
where like I have to wait longer for things because I have to like learn more. I have all these lessons I have to learn before I like enter the next stage of my life or before I like get this and that. And so I wonder sometimes it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy where you keep yourself in limbo by
Yeah.
believing that you have to do something really extravagant to get out of limbo. I don't know if that's like an actual thing. All right, so we talked a little bit about like the story of Moses and how there seems to be like this really overwhelming theme of like waiting. But there are also some like other passages in scripture that definitely like lean into that like waiting dynamic. So, you know, we have Galatians 6:9 that says, let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up.
Well,
So
yeah,
that
there
was
is a lot of
harvest.
Yeah, there is
Yes.
a lot of like planting and seasonal.
Yes. Like planting a
Analogies.
seed in a certain season where you don't like see the benefit of it and then you get to later, which like I think honestly is great. Like that is a truth in life. Like I totally
Yes.
get behind that. And then there's like, be still for the Lord and wait patiently for him. Do not fret when people succeed in their ways, when they carry out their wicked schemes. So that was like a common thing too, is that like the wicked would be able to like move forward with life. But if you're righteous, you'll kind of be like, it'll be harder for you and you'll be more stuck and you won't be able to like reap blessings. And then there's obviously the famous one in Isaiah that says, but those who wait upon the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not go weary, and they will walk and not be faint. Did you get a lot of those messages when you were growing or in your background in evangelical Christianity?
A lot of the planting stuff.
Yeah.
For sure. And I mean, I've heard all these verses a lot, but I'm trying to think of it in this context. I would say I would just always think like oh, well, if I'm enduring now or learning this patience now, it will pay off later in life.
Yeah.
Which is true, but you know what hasn't paid off? Like all the religious trauma.
Yeah.
That has made me crazy.
Yeah.
And I think I had a lot of, don't fret.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not helpful to someone with anxiety.
Yeah. Not at all.
Last night I was like really spiraling and I was like, I just need to go to bed before I pick a fight for no reason.
Yeah.
So don't talk to me. I'm just going to go to sleep.
Yeah.
And Danny was like, well, just like, don't. I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. I never thought about not doing it.
And I was like, I am doing you a service by not talking to you.
Yes.
So like, just let me go to sleep.
Yes. That was a big thing too when I was like thinking about getting on like different medications for like anxiety and depression. Is a lot of it was like a lot of the like my mom is not very pro medication. So a lot of it was like she was like, no, like don't do that. Like wait for like God to heal you kind of stuff. And I'm like, I'm 30. I want to live a single day in my life without depression. Like I understand like letting things like see through, but like if you're like, and not the 30 is old, but like if you're at that age, like you shouldn't have to wait on not being depressed anymore. That's not a season of your life anymore. Like, so there was a lot of like not taking action because you want to like wait to see how like God delivers you from a certain scenario. And then it just keeps you like stuck in that angst.
Like, would she say to wait on your body healing itself for your diabetes too?
Yeah. Well, she would say like eating, like change your diet, but she would
like type 1.
She would probably...
Your pancreas doesn't work. It's an autoimmune disorder.
I mean, I don't want to speak for her, but she is very much like very suspicious of like Western medicine fixes, but more like long game nutrition.
But that has nothing to do with God.
Now, that's more, I think, alt-right, honestly. I think that's more of like... She also thinks that like olive oil will heal people and not wearing sunscreen. So like that's a new alt-right pipeline. So that's a little like it does intersect with religion, but it's a little bit more like, but it is like to the effect of like not taking like real action to like course correct things, like, but rather like, and I get like nutrition is super beneficial to your health and it's the long game for health.
Yeah.
But a lot of it was like long game stuff instead of like taking initiative on like fixing problems like more immediately. So a lot of things too, like, so we had grown up with the prosperity gospel and a lot of that was like waiting and praying for like personal blessings and for things to happen. So like if somebody, and this isn't, if somebody had like cancer and they were discouraged from like pursuing chemotherapy and doing prayer instead of taking specific action, it's like, no, just like wait and prayer. Like that was a really big common thing I saw too. So another question, like, if you're listening might be like, why, like, what would be the benefit of teaching people to be in perpetual wait? Like, that's not, like who benefits from like other people waiting? And
the
like
patriarchy,
literally.
Because then everyone's just waiting for a man to save them.
Yes. And doing anything like,
and if you are a woman and you are waiting for a man and you don't get an education, that means you're dependent on men.
Yes. And a lot of the like things that I see like whenever I get like some weird ass red pill content, like at this point I'd rather get dark web content than red pill content.
You're like seeking it out.
I know, scary. But when I like a lot of the red pill content I see has to do with like wanting like a full grown woman who has like child level life experience. So there's the obvious ones with like low body count. Like we all fucking know that they don't want you to have any sexual experience beforehand. But then it's like, oh, she's traveled, red flag. She has an education, like all these things where it's just like, what 27-year-old woman is going to have like that low of a body count, is going to like have not traveled, have not pursued an like she was literally just waiting. Like, when you got married when you were 16.
Are you even working?
Yeah, like maybe if you got married when you were 16, that was like maybe a little bit more like reasonable. But like I think that there's this expectation that like until a woman gets picked by a man that she's supposed to wait in limbo for him.
Yeah, like literally.
Yes,
lady in waiting.
Lady in waiting, literally. And there was so much of that messaging, even just like things like I kiss dating goodbye, not dating, it's not taking action or agency in your own romantic life. It's literally waiting until some weirdo guy comes up to you and says, God told me we're supposed to get married. Yeah. And then being like, well, can't say no to that.
Oh, speaking of the devil, Joshua Harris is in Shiny Happy People.
Is he really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait, no, he is. That's right. I did see that.
They interview him.
Yeah.
He's very apologetic for his harm.
He is. It seems like he's doing the reparations. And there were some clips where I was like, that's tough. That's not great at all.
Also, they had the Ray Boltz video that you just
I know
talked
that
about
I just
recently
talked about,
in the
yes.
missions episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have
And
to
also, I didn't know he's gay now.
Ray Boltz?
Yeah.
I didn't know that either.
Gay.
Yeah. I mean, that actually makes a little sense now that I think about it.
And his kids talk about it. It's really
I
interesting.
love his kids. They're so fun.
All right, we gotta stay on track. We're
yeah.
almost done here.
So another like social justice issue that I feel like impatience or like the need to wait was like really laid heavy on them was during the civil rights movement.
Yeah.
So there is this like really powerful quote from Martin Luther King Jr. from Letters from Birmingham Jail. And I'm just going to like read it. So it was 1963. And he says in Letters from Birmingham Jail, "For years now, I have heard the word wait. This wait has almost meant never, almost always meant never. We must come to see with one of our distinguished jurists that justice too long delayed is justice denied." And I feel like that when you hear a lot of the messaging around pursuing social justice stuff, it's like every critique of it is just being angry with the amount of like angst and urgency that people have. Where like people criticize like protesters, like, why can't they like, do it in a more civil way? And it's just like, well, when you've been asking for the same thing for like decade after decade, like you're going to heighten your way that you deliver that like urgency, like clearly. But there's always just this like push to like mute and moderate and like wait. And like obviously like a lot of these things like are a multi-decade unfolding. I get that. But also there is so much like, push or like to like mute the like aggressiveness of like protesting and coming up like against harmful systems. Like I even remember when I was at the International House of Prayer, one of our leaders, Stuart Greaves, who was heavily involved in like covering up the Mike Bickle sexual assault allegations, so like definitely not a good man at all, but he had a book, I can't remember exactly what it was called, but it was about justice. But basically the book was about how like we should not pursue like political or systemic justice because that's not the same as like Christ-like justice. And so basically he was saying that like a lot of like modern day social justice movements were like distractions from like actually bringing the kingdom of heaven on earth and like what Jesus would want in this world.
I can't roll my eyes big enough.
I know, but that is so common. There was always this big distinction, like, oh, like, our war is not against flesh and blood, but above principalities. Like everything, every time you like aired a grievance of a social justice issue, it was always like, oh, well, like it's a spiritual issue. We just have to like pray more for it. And I honestly think that people just did that because they didn't actually want to stare the ugly truth in the face and actually like do the shit you need to do to combat it.
Yeah, I don't understand. I guess social justice often goes with the left. And that's kind of the motivation to push it down and to have this waiting is like, if we just make them wait and not protest and not speak out, then nothing will change or will only change in my direction.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I would agree. And it's one of the things that I've brought to the attention of different like religious leaders in my life is like, when it's a social justice, I'm using that in quotation, issue that they are passionate about, they typically don't deliver the like, oh, well, like we got to pray. We just need to like see how God moves. Like if you bring up abortion, prayer is not enough.
Just pray.
Yeah, it's never about prayer. It's never patience. It's about like taking direct action. And I've noticed, and then when I would bring up a social justice issue that is one that like I like believe in, then all of a sudden that's where the like waiting rhetoric comes around. And I started to realize like, oh, like you are using waiting on the Lord as a deflection, which is really unfortunate because like divine patience is super holy. And it is like a thing that you have to like learn how to participate in, but using that to like brush over like serious social justice issues is like such a common tactic, and it's so secretly insidious.
Do you believe in God's timing?
Yeah.
You do.
I guess. I don't know. I honestly am really, I think yes, but I think that I'm a little like, I don't quite know what things I need to be waiting for and what things I need to take action about.
How do you hold both of those? That sounds annoying.
Oh, it's quite. I hate
it
it.
sounds crippling.
Yeah. I think that like I guess I'll just give like an example. So like I've been applying to different jobs. I feel comfortable saying that. And it just hasn't worked. It's a tough economy, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So like I will apply to the jobs. I'll do my networking. I'll reach out, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not going to beg someone for a job because there's a part of me that also wants to like receive like rejection as possible, like redirection. And so like I will like work hard and I'll put my
resume.
Yeah. I'll put like, or just like, yeah, I'll like, I want to
for.
participate in like this process.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to do more than just put my resume in. Like I network on LinkedIn, I do all that stuff, but I'm not necessarily going to like, if someone rejects me, be like, you need to reconsider. I'm not going to do that kind of a thing. Some people do. And sometimes it works for them. It's kind of wild. But I think like for me, like I just put myself out there as much as possible. And then when a door opens, I walk through it. I take the next right step.
One time I got a competitive job because I sent a thank you note.
Really?
It was just a little suck up.
Yeah.
Worked.
I will say too, like, and this is where it gets more woo woo. When I try for something for so long, when it actually happens, that scenario does feel a little different. It does feel more aligned. Like I remember there was a job that I really wanted for a really long time at this institution. I applied to multiple jobs there. It just like wouldn't happen. Finally, I got a couple interviews. I was so excited. I didn't ultimately end up getting it. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to get it. And I just kind of like gave up. And then like a couple weeks later, they reached out to me that another job had opened up that was perfect for me. And they invited me to apply and I didn't have to interview for it.
Yeah.
And that ended up being like a better fit for me than the other jobs. So like that.
Did you get that job?
I did.
Oh.
And it sucked. I mean, it was a good fit for me, but it was tough.
Yeah.
But it was the next right step for me for sure. And so there was an element of like, oh, the things that I tried for didn't work out up until that point. And I was getting very impatient. And then when I gave up, it like came to me. I don't think that that's necessarily universal, but like, I do have to say like, mysteriously enough, when the things are supposed to happen that are supposed to happen, like it feels like it is more smooth of a process. I don't know. Do you feel that way, or how do you approach that?
I don't know. I feel like this is something I haven't really figured out in deconstructing. Like I don't believe in God's timing. I think even towards the end of my Christian beliefs, I started to think it was less linear than I had in the past and more subjective. I obviously know that timing is important and crossing paths with certain people or certain things. Like there's definitely coincidences and happenstance, but I don't know if I've really figured it out.
Yeah.
I do think that I do everything I can to make something happen.
Yeah.
And sometimes I can't make it happen.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, like we are doing everything we can to make this podcast take off. And some weeks it feels good and some weeks it doesn't.
Yeah.
And some weeks it feels like, well, we have to keep doing more, or like we have to put more money into it or more ads in. Like, there's just so much that we could do, but like, we're not going to like financially ruin ourselves to hope that we get enough listeners. Like we've kind of decided, okay, we'll do it for this long and then see where we are.
Right.
And
well, it's tough too, because like it's hard to know like what is like when you're doing something, what is like not a good fit versus something that's just going to take the long game.
Right. And I think us both feeling so encouraged by doing it and really liking it is like, well, then it's worth doing it.
Yeah.
Till we can't.
Right.
I
agree. And I think that like to the example I said, where like in the events in my life where it felt like it was very clear I was supposed to move forward with something, this podcast was one of those things.
Yeah.
And it has kind of felt like a well in the desert a little bit. Like I remember when we had come up with the idea for it, like you and I had experienced a lot of just like no's in life and
it's
many
a
different
constant
things.
rejection.
Constant. And it was just like everyone else in my life was just like moving forward with things. Like I felt like you were the only person that I really felt like was in the same stuckness that I was in. And I was just like, it was like everything I tried to do, to the point where other people recognize like what is going on in Bailee's life. Like she's clearly trying so hard at different things and they're just not coming through. And then this popped up and then I moved forward with it. And that just felt like the next right step.
Yeah.
So I do think that there is like an element of that for sure. But yeah, I kind of just don't want to wait
share with
anymore.
your friends.
Yes, there you go. So we don't have to wait any longer because we're growing impatient. All right. Do you have anything else you wanted to add to it?
I have nothing else.
Okay. Well, then I'm going to close this out.
Yeah. You're going to close us out?
Oh, wait. No, I can't because it's your turn. I forgot. Go for it.
Blessed are the listeners, for they know that justice delayed is justice denied. Find us at praisebetopod.com on the web, praisebetopod on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, and YouTube. It is finished. Bye.